Joining us now is the man who heads up the computer division at Tandy, the vice president of Tandy Computers, Howard Elias, and also with us again, Richard Landry of MPC World. Howard, it was pretty revolutionary, I guess, many years ago when you gave up on TRS-DOS and went to MS-DOS and became a PC compatible. Now I understand Tandy is going to have computer stores that sells Macs and PS2s?
Actually, that's right. We've started a new subsidiary at Tandy called Computer City Supercenters. And in addition to our standard distribution channels, Radio Shack, where you still buy all Tandy computers, our superstores will sell all types of brands and specifically name brands of computers, IBM, Apple, Compaq, as well as Tandy.
Well, as we know, things have certainly changed with Tandy from the good old TRS-80 Model 1 days to these multimedia machines here.
You bet.
Show us what you've got here. These are two new Tandy machines that are multimedia machines, and just give us an idea of what they can do.
Sure. These are actually two machines of a family of 5 that we introduced last May and just started shipping a few weeks ago. We have a 2500 SX20, which is a 386 SX 20 megahertz machine, and then we have a 33 megahertz 386 DX machine. I've got several different types of applications I'd like to show you today: business, education, and consumer.
These both have integrated CD-ROM drives?
You bet. These are complete integrated systems, straight out of the box. They are true MPCs, multimedia PCs. They've got RAM memory, they've got hard drives inside, the CD-ROM drive integrated, as well as the soundboard and software.
All right, so let's start with the 20 over there.
Sure, let me start with the 2500 SX. I've actually got an interesting application here utilizing a touch screen.
Now this is, you're touch screening now,
That's right, a touch screen, which is an optional extra to the MPC. And here is an information kiosk, electronic catalog, that we're actually testing at some of our Radio Shack stores. Let's say, for example, you want to look at the antennas, and you can just select there, and I happen to be interested in the cordless phone antenna, and I did this a couple weeks back when I walked into the store. I broke the antenna off my cordless phone. I know my manufacturer and model number, and actually it's an AT&T phone, and it's a model 5200. So if I just scroll down there and select, what it will do is go actually to the CD, bring all of the information to the screen that I need, shows me a picture of the antenna, actual size. I can actually touch for more information, and I have the part number, all of the specifications, and the price. So it's a very, very interesting application.
So you'd be running that as a kiosk in a store, but in fact it's running off this Tandy computer.
It runs on a straight MPC out of the box.
Richard, about 10 years ago, I guess, when Hewlett-Packard introduced touchscreen, everybody laughed and made jokes about it. Is the touchscreen coming back as an interface?
Well, particularly in places like stores or malls where people can come up and get information that they specifically want any way they want. It's
we have the
turning
keyboard-phobic user.
Well, yeah, on top of that, just think about this. They're selling personal computers in their Tandy stores. People are coming up to a personal computer to get information. And over time, that's going to wear down people's fear of using computers just by the fact that they're able to come up and get whatever.
All right, let's move over to the other machine here and show us what that can do, Howard.
Another very typical business application for multimedia is training. And here actually we're using a very nice tool called Guide from a company named Owl. And what this does is an application that was prepared on teaching a mechanic about fixing cars, repairing cars. And here we're going to go and show very briefly. You can get into the carburetor disassembly area and you're doing some diagnosis. So I have a problem, and my problem is engine miss at high speed. So we can go ahead and select that, and we'll go through the check fuel pressure, and it'll take you through.
Check all fuel connections for external leaks.
So it shows you a photograph, and it tells you step by step exactly what you need to do to go through the proper procedures.
Buy a new Chevy, it'll come with a CD-ROM.
Just about. That's right.
Richard?
This is actually the kind of thing that would benefit from a touch screen, too. In a garage shop, you can imagine somebody going up and just figuring out what to do next.
That's right.
Yeah. What else, Howard?
Let me get out of this and show you some applications that are more educationally oriented. Everybody's a Beethoven fan, certainly I am. Here's an application that will actually show you how the symphony was developed, what Beethoven was thinking, and how it's actually constructed, different instruments and so on. You can actually go to what they call a pocket guide here, and it shows you how the symphony is actually laid out in its 4 different movements, and you can bounce around, decide you want to play a certain part, and then we'll hear that part come on and play. We can go to various different ones, and I'll pick the more famous ones that people will recognize, certainly. And just listen to the symphony in various different ways. But what's very interesting about it is, let me just pause this for a moment, is there are many different ways to look at the symphony, and let me just very briefly go into what they call a close reading, which actually plays the symphony, and as it's playing, it gives you a description of what's going on and how it's actually been constructed. This is good not only for schools teaching music appreciation, but also for use in the home.
Oh, most definitely. I think even more so than in schools. Everyone who gets out of school wants to keep their learning up. They want to learn more about culture and society, and products like this are just a perfect reason to go out and get an MPC.
Howard, one good reason for wanting a multimedia computer, I guess, is use of reference works, things like encyclopedias which have music and words and so on. You have an application like that on this one, don't you?
Yeah, in fact, let me go ahead and show you one. Let me get out of Beethoven here, and I'll take the Beethoven disc out. As you can see, by the way, this is a very different kind of a CD-ROM disc. I don't have a special caddy like some of them do. This actually works just like your CD audio player at home. Just go ahead and change the discs. And here I'll go ahead and open up a product from Microsoft called Bookshelf. And this actually has many different reference books inside of it. And one of them happens to be an encyclopedia. We'll go ahead and show you what kinds of things you can do with an encyclopedia. Instead of just text and maybe some simple graphs or so on, you can actually do some animation and sound. Here we're learning about jet propulsion. Let me just go ahead and start this for you, and you'll see this animation sequence.
With audio.
With audio. It'll take you through about exactly how a jet engine works. You'll see in a moment that the turbine starts to go around and so on. So a very interesting application.
And you really clicked on a forward button as if this
That's all I
were
did, just a little tape player here. In fact,
yeah.
I can go ahead and stop it right now and rewind it and so on. Yeah.
So you don't really need video. You don't need actual pictures, moving pictures. Animation, which is perfectly okay for machines like this, does the job quite well, in fact.
Okay, how about for kids? I mean, learning and educational applications.
Yeah, got some great stuff for kids. In fact, let me show you an application back over on the 2500 SX machine over here. I'm going to skip the opening part, but here's an example of a little children's game, but it's actually fun, and you can learn. Let me go ahead and turn that volume up.
To have the story read to you, press this button.
So this little character is taking the child through the opening. I want to show you a little bit of the
And we're getting the sound and the animation off the CD.
You bet.
Yeah, that's cute.
Isn't that nice? He goes through a little dance and entertains the kids. This is a touchscreen again, so let me just go ahead and start the little game here. And what it is, it's actually a book. And instead of a textbook that you read, it's animated, and you can play with different things on the screen. And here it's going to read you the first page of the book.
We went to the beach. Just Grandma and me.
And then it starts a story, and you can go through the whole thing.
Okay, just a little bit of time left. A real good example of instant electronic publishing is, I think, the Desert Storm story came out electronically, didn't it? You have that up on the other machine.
I do over here. Let's go ahead and click on Desert Storm. This actually came out in May from Warner New Media, just immediately after the war ended.
So it really is the version of the pocketbook that comes out right after
very
the story.
quickly, and it was pressed on a CD, and you have an anthology of the entire war from Time magazine correspondence and information.
With sounds and photos and so on?
And there's scripts of different speeches that were made and so on. It's really wonderful.
Long way since the TRS-80 Model 1. Gentlemen, thank you very much.